Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I've got a little bit of a different multicast for you. So because of the replay issues, I decided to live record all of these and then do a post-cast of them. So today we're going to be looking at the Goblin Lords, all three old Goblin Lords who had some changes, going into some battles with them with some of the old vanilla, quote-unquote, Greenskin stuff. So yeah, strap yourselves in and enjoy. Alright, and here we are with the first battle. Night Goblin Warboss going to be leading the Crooked Moon against the Empire. You can see right off the bat my Wolf Rider Archer is going to get a face full of Huntsman and Silver Bullets fire. Huntsman General there leading the Empire. Of course, my forces again led by the Warboss. We've got 3 Gobos up front, 3 Fanatics, including the 8-Peak Loons. We've got a Night Goblin Warboss, a Big Spider, a couple Squig Hoppers, including the ROR. Yeah, Doom Diver. We've also got Goblin Big Boss for some assassination, and 2 Spider Riders in Deep Vanguard. And yeah, again, for the Empire, I've got some Knights of the Blazing Sun, a couple great swords you can see out there, some Spearmen, Jade Wizard. We've also got an Empire Priest, a Warrior Priest, and yeah, Sigmar's Sons. Definitely good stuff. You can see right off the bat doing some skirmishing with my Wolf Rider Archers. They're going to take some damage from the Huntsmen. Not the biggest deal in the world. They are pretty cheap. You know, other than the Mangy Marauders, they're a little expensive, but maneuvering my Spider up and around the side here, I'm going to try and play off the forests if I can, since, of course, I don't have any forest penalty with the Spider, and it'll help block some of the shots of those ranged units, potentially. And likewise, I'm going to push up here in just a moment and try and play forward from that artillery piece a little bit. You can see that kind of little stone obelisk there. I'm going to try and use that to break up the advance along with Gobos, try and, you know, create some spacing to work with. Unfortunately, you can see I just made a big micro mistake there and actually told my Doom Diver to move on the opposite side of the formation, enemy formation, which is definitely not what I wanted right off the bat. But hey, it's all good. We're going to get the melee engagement going here. It's very important that I try and get some good Fanatics casts and get good infantry engagements here. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. I do notice the Doom Diver in time and go ahead and start to drop some dudes on those Knights. Meanwhile, on the side, Spider pushing up and around there. In the front line, we were able to get some decent engagements. You can see here we're going to go all in on trying to finish off the Warrior Priest and some assassination debuffs. Speaking of assassination, Vindictive Glare are going to be used on that Jade Wizard there. Does a ton of damage to him. Unfortunately, I do mostly miss with those 2 Fanatics casts. One of them actually came through and did a little bit of damage to those great swords, but you can see how I stacked the Fermented Fungi with the They Need Stabbing. That's going to just basically... It's minus 48 melee defense in total, right? Which will put the Warrior Priest at 0, and he'll get absolutely gooned by those characters. That being said, because of all of this micro-intensive stuff, you can see I haven't moved my Spiders up and into the back line to disrupt those missiles. There's just so many things to micro here. I'm going to pop Wah in just a moment as well, since that's active. Been active for just a moment. But here we go with the pop, and now we're pushing through. It's definitely very micro-intensive with this kind of full stack Gobos, right? But speaking of this micro, I also should have probably had those light cavalry, those missile cavalry rather, in position to help. At least, you know, while the Doom Diver crew is getting sacrificed, then they can shoot those Knights and start trying to do some damage there. Instead, we're going to do that with the Night Goblin Shaman. And yeah, the infantry engagement at least is going very well in my favor. We're pushing through, pushing off a lot of the Empire infantry, and the disruption in the back line, once the Spiders landed, you know, we're able to do some damage, but the Knights were able to get a timely kind of backline sweep and get back and push those Spider Riders off. I'm having to keep my Big Spider out of range of those Huntsmen and the Silver Bullets and everything, just because of the danger to him, especially with my mobility kind of being mismicroed here. Don't have a lot of tools to keep disrupting. You can see there those Knights are in pretty bad trouble. We are going to kind of overcommit there a little bit too much, and yeah, it's all good at the end of the day. Here, I get a beautiful Fanatics cast right through the center. You can see the HP damage, even on those Knights, is pretty significant. We're not quite able to break the Knights, unfortunately, but I'm going to go ahead and push up into the back line, see if I can continue to just snipe the Empire characters and potentially pressure those ranged units. I really need to keep my Ragnarok alive. That's kind of one of my win conditions here. And in order to do that, I need to pressure those ranged units. So we're going to try and take out the Huntsman General here, use the Tormentor Sword, and the stacking debuffs. Well, not quite stacking. They're not quite timed correctly, but still, with that, and They Need Stab, and just that, I mean, that Gobbo Big Boss is winning that engagement. Again, kind of overcommitting there in the backline, but I'm going to pull those troops back up to try and get them in the main fight. Speaking of overcommitting, those poor Squig Hoppers, man, they came in, did some good initial damage to the Great Swords, kind of helping to support that engagement, but Yeah, they just got completely crossfired there. I definitely should have pulled them back, but it's all good. You live and learn. The spider is able to come in and get an okay engagement here, but I probably just, again, realistically should have pulled back out of range of all of those expensive ranged units. I just needed to bail out my big boss from these knights. They got a good charge in there. The Knights of the Blazing Sun, high charge bonus, obviously, right? So I'm able to terrify them away and now start to move in and pressure those ranged units. Just going to use the spider itself to pressure the ranged units, right? We have all these other mobile units here, and these weak gobos we can use to kind of disrupt the other infantry and keep them from getting a good engagement. So we're going to go ahead and do that, but definitely I think in hindsight sort of the two light cavalry missed micros at the beginning really cost me. Not getting the spider riders, disrupting that back line in time, really getting an aggressive push there while the knights were occupied on the far side. And then likewise, you know, with the knights not having the Wolf Rider Cav in a proper position, but gonna get another good Fanatics cast here. The Fanatics have definitely been a strong point here, but again, this is also a good showcase of their kind of micro attacks, right? Like, part of the reason why I did miss micro those light cavalry is because I was trying to get good Fanatics, you know, casts on that frontline engagement and making sure that I get the value of that. They are more expensive now. I don't know if I mentioned, but they've had their price increased by 50, so it's now a 100 point upgrade. But anyway, you can see there my disruption's going okay. Unfortunately, my Wolf Riders, I made another mistake with them, sent them into melee to try and finish off that Jade Wizard, which was just they're not even going to. I mean, he has better stats than them, I'm pretty sure, so definitely should have just used up the last of their ammunition there and not engaged in melee, but it's all good. We still have a chance in this late game. I'm going to try and finish off these ranged units, just continuously pressure them with the spiders and with the war boss and everything, try and get my Wolf Riders up and around and in a position to help. At this point, they're starting to run out of ammunition. You can see the Mangy Marauders, at the very least, out of ammo. The big boss and the spider, though, doing a good job kind of pressuring away some of these ranged units. There's still 2 units of Huntsmen there, though, and obviously quite a bit of infantry left, and the 2 Empire non-Lord characters, the 2 heroes, they're gonna continue to support leadership as well. So we'll keep the pursuit up into the late game. Try and just utilize my mobility advantage to kind of pick away any isolated units and really just you know, circle like hungry sharks. Try and win into the late game. But yeah, like I said, the cavalry miss micro kind of again goes to show that while the Fanatics are very strong, the aimable Fanatics, again, it is a micro tax, and certainly in the hands of a more skilled player, I think they could be even more devastating. But this battle, I think, honestly, I could have probably cut one of the Fanatics and just brought the regular one. Obviously, the one that just got crumped by Knights, I still don't know. Yeah, see there, I just select them. They still have all 3 casts of their Fanatics, right? So I literally got no value whatsoever from them. So obviously, in hindsight, it would have been better. I think for myself, for my own, you know, micro level, I think probably like 2 is my max, maybe 3. Potentially, but even then, like, it's going to be tough to get value from all 3 of them, so I think really 2 is probably going to be the max that I bring in most builds, and especially, like, the Night Goblin War Boss as well. He is, with the Fermented Fungi and the Tormentor Sword, super, super strong, right? Very, very powerful character, but at the same time, he's very micro-intensive, and I think that's can be said a lot of the Greenskins stuff. It's squishy, it's very micro-intensive, obviously Grimgore maybe not so much, but certainly a build like this, almost full 20 stack of gobos with, you know, a few expensive ranged units, but a few squishy, very important units like that Goblin War Boss. But I personally am a huge fan, and you'll see this combination again in just a moment, of the Fermented Fungi plus the They Need Stabbing from 2 Goblin characters, kind of stacking as an assassination there. But anyway, back to the replay at hand. You can see I'm just, again, picking away at those isolated units where I can. I was able to isolate a few there, but at this point, HTS doing a great job kind of staying tight to his formation. So I sent those spiders in to just kind of disrupt as I make my advance here, try and pick and choose my engagements. My goal here is basically to try and get a full surround and then run in with the Fanatics and get one good Fanatics cast and hope for a big terror route. Basically, that's basically my goal. And also if I can finish off these characters. So we're going to run in with the Fermented Fungi. I am a little bit late in following up with the Gobbo Big Boss. I definitely should have had him in there sooner, like, you know, together even, going in after the Jade Wizard. And I used the debuff there, but again, I'm not gonna actually send him into combat like he needs to be. The Spider comes through. The Spider's going to be the very important. It's the piece for terror, so we push that up try and get on those silver bullets. The MLG fanatics are almost there, but suddenly it's not looking so hot. I made a bit of a micro mistake, and the warrior priest came in all juiced up. Got a ton of damage on that poor Goblin war boss. Here comes the fanatics cast, though. Will it be enough in this late game? It does proc a big terror route here, but unfortunately at exactly the same time my my spider actually routes, right? And yeah, the spiderlings are able to get a few units chasing off here, but I also make a little bit of a mistake in trying to retreat my gobos. I probably just should have stayed in combat, but they were probably going to route to the Sigmar Suns anyway. That warrior priest is coming through, you know, full on, so yeah. Last charge of the gobos almost worked. Almost got a nice terror route there, but it wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. So, yeah, very well played to HDS, and as I mentioned, this is kind of a good replay to showcase the state of Fanatics, right? Like, yes, they're very strong, but they are very micro-intensive, absolutely. And they can end up costing you in other areas if you, spend the micro attacks to actually use them at the right place at the right time. Sometimes you might not be microing another unit that you need to do. So a few different mistakes for me, kind of compounding, but still a very, very close game. Well played to HDS, and a nice classic matchup. Empire versus Greenskins. This is always a good time. So yeah, definitely fun. Let's go ahead and without further ado, get to the next replay. Alright, next up we've got SKARSNIK going up against Norsk. So, Greenskins versus Norsk is already a matchup that most people perceive to be in Greenskins' favor. We're going to go ahead and see how an infantry-centric composition does with SKARSNIK's new anti-large buff. We've also got some Wolf Riders, Spider Riders, another Big Boss, again just for the Assassination debuff, a Night Goblin Shaman, and a Daka line. We've got 2 Orc Air Boys with Rusty Airs, and for the front line, 2 Black Orcs, 2 Savage Orc Biggins, the 8 Peak Loons, and 2 Gobos for some additional models. Help build up that wall nice and quick. And for HDS's Norskins, he's got 2 Ice Trolls, led by the Ice Troll King himself, Throg. We've got, yeah, some Marauder Horsemen there, front line with some Berserkers and some Marauders, Frostworm, and the Maws of Savagery. So you can see already Throg getting up, getting kind of aggressive. We're going to go ahead and get charges off across the board there. Decent Fanatics cast. Doesn't do the most damage in the world to those Berserkers, but it's alright. We're going to move the Spider Riders up into position to try and block that flanking advance there. I don't necessarily want to just take a face engagement on those units, but we can do okay. SKARSNIK just kind of hanging around in the back line, trying to decide, where exactly I want to put him. He's kind of in a support situation here, so I want to obviously fight whatever monster I can with him, but here Throg makes a dive. We're going to go ahead and use the anti-large buff here. You can see it hits those Black Orcs who are fighting the Ice Trolls. It, of course, hits the Night Goblins there, the 8 Peak Loons. We also get a charge with the Spiders. They're going to get a very cost-effective engagement, especially with the sneaky stab in there on the left. On those Berserkers and those other Marauders, very nice engagement. Wah being popped now as well, so just all the juicy buffs going off. And in the front line, you can see the Berserkers got absolutely crumped, as to be expected. The Ice Trolls also getting absolutely crumped. That anti-large bonus, especially on those Black Orcs, man, just makes them hit so hard. And the Norskin leadership just not able to take it. Throg also having a really bad time there. Yeah. That stacking debuff, the assassination debuff's just absolutely brutal. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I mean, balance power is going to go significantly in my favor at this point, and I mean, the Norskins will keep fighting. We're going to just absolutely Daka those Maws of Savagery with all of the Overwatch fire. They're a pretty strong unit, don't get me wrong, but with this much, the Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, the Orc Air Boys, and everyone just all focused on them. Yeah, it was a crumping for sure, and this is kind of a good showcase of why this matchup is considered to be in the Greenskins' favor, and I would say with the new stuff, it is even more so in the Greenskins' favor. And this might actually be, I don't know, Norska doesn't honestly have that many bad matchups. This is one of the few really bad matchups in my eyes for Norska. But it just got even worse, I think, honestly. You can see I'm pushing up with my Black Orcs there, just kind of pushing forward with everything. SKARSNIK doing a good job taking out the Chariot Priest there, the Chariot Shaman, the Maws of Savagery hanging out on the far side there. We're going to isolate them with the Wolf Rider Archers, just continuously apply some pressure, maybe get the Spider Riders to interrupt there as well. And yeah, again, SKARSNIK, he's got that Spite of the Bad Moon anti-large stuff, so we're going to use that. Just give extra anti-large to everything. Run in, and those ice trolls, man, they're just going to get absolutely butchered by the biggins with the extra anti-large. Yeah, let's look at that health start to drop there. Man, I love that ability on SKARSNIK. It is so strong. In this matchup, it's obviously going to be very strong against Lizardmen, Tomb Kings, I would imagine, even, like, obviously Chaos, but, like, Vampire counts as well. Basically, any of the matchups where you think you're going to be facing a lot of monsters, which is, you know, typically many matchups, Greenskins, because of their leadership issues, you often will face monster-focused builds, but that anti-large, area of effect anti-large bonus from SKARSNIK, absolutely very strong. And, you know, whether you're using it to support a mobile engagement or an infantry engagement, I think he's going to be one of the most competitive Lord choices just for that, I think. Not to mention the Fermented Fungi is a super strong ability as well. Again, stacking that with the... I don't even think I deployed my Gabo Big Boss there, but anyway. Yeah, stacking that with the Assassination debuff that they need stabbing. Just great stuff. You can see there the Savage Orc Biggins got a lot of kills. Yeah, the Wolf Riders did a great job. Spider Riders and that blocking got a nice cost-effective engagement on the flank there. And man, again, the debuffs from the SKARSNIK are just so strong. The Fermented Fungi, I mean, the fact that the Night Goblin War Boss is so squishy kind of balances it for him. I mean, granted, he does also have Tormentor Sword, but SKARSNIK, he's relatively tanky. I mean, he can be sniped by certain things, but he's got a good amount of HP. He's got good melee defense, charge defense, I believe. Have to double check. But yeah, that anti-large bonus buff, the Trixie Traps and everything, and Trixie Traps kind of situational to be honest, but certainly that AoE anti-large buff from the Fermented Fungi are going to make him very strong. So look to see him in more battles coming soon. And for now, I've got one more to show you with my new favorite, the Spider Shrine, so let's get to it. Alright, and for part 3, I actually totally forgot to record, so we are going to be watching HDS's recording of the game, hence why everything is in Spanish, and we're watching a Lizardman's perspective. I, of course, going to be taking the Crooked Moon once again, and we're going to be going with a build with the Spider Shrine this time, up against Nakai and some Croc scores, Rock'em Sock'em Crocodiles, got Popopox cohort as well, a bunch of Skinks, Razor Dawns, some Pterodons up in the air, and yeah, some regular Cold One Riders. Pretty good stuff, so we'll be getting started right about now. You can see I've got the Mangy Marauders up front there in Vanguard, 2 Giants, the Spider Shrine. We've also got, what is that, 2 Goblin Big Bosses? Yes, 2 Black Orcs, 8 Peakloons currently hidden, and a bunch of Goblins scattered around as well. You'll be seeing some Cavalry emerge from the forest in just a moment. We've got a couple of Light Cav units, the Regiment of Renowned Wolf Riders, and some Spider Riders as well. So, right off the bat, I'm going to be trying to get some various engagements. Obviously, the Razor Dawns are a big threat to my Lord, so I'm going to try and keep him back and out of line of fire of them as much as possible. Yeah, the Razor Dawns are going to come through for a bombing run on the Black Orcs. Not going to do too much damage, as you'll see in just a moment, but in the meanwhile, I'm just, you know, keeping my skirmish units in a position to provide some counterfire. The Mangy Marauder is probably not the most ideal unit to be counterfiring Pterodons. It's not super cost efficient, but hey, it's something, right? And you can see over there, I do manage to get the charge. HDS doesn't quite notice yet, but he will in just a moment. I've got the charge on those Goblin Riders over there, and I'm going to be sending the Giant over there also. In the front, you saw those Fanatics get unleashed. We were able to kind of side them through the Razor Dawns to do some good HP damage initially, but now the Croc scores are all charging in. Got the Legion of Chocolates there as well, but the Spider's pushing up and around the flank. He does get me relatively isolated here. Those Goblins were coming into support, but they got interrupted by the Skinks there. We're going to be able to get them into a position. Meanwhile, Giant helping to stabilize the front line, along with those Black Orcs, and the Spider Shrine throwing down some debuffs as well. You can't really see them because, yeah, there we go. There, now you can see the debuffs over there. If you can also kind of see underneath the minimap, the Cold One Rider is absolutely getting demolished. I do kind of over-pursue there a little bit, but I'm going to get the Giant back towards the main fight here. He's trying to pull Nakai away there. I've been using the Assassination debuffs on the Goblin Big Bosses to debuff his melee defense and armor, and then let the Giant womp on him a little bit there, but HDS doing a good job keeping him out and away. Meanwhile, the Gobbles are able to get in the back line. Nice Wind Blast, going to do some great damage to the 8-peak loonies there, but already, you know, just clogging up that back line area, keeping those Razordons from being able to fire at my Lord is going to be very important as we start to mop up. You can see the Popopox cohort just about done there on the low ground. They have done some damage to my Lord, but here I kind of overextend with this poor little Gobbo. I mean, he is able to get some good damage on the Kai with that assassination debuff active, but then, you know, with the Razordons there supporting and other various components, he is going to get isolated and absolutely taken out, especially once the debuff wears off. The Kai will punch him very, very hard, so that's not the best, but you can see my light cav kind of maneuvering up and around there. The other big boss is also getting swarmed by pterodons and just absolutely destroyed. So 2 big bosses down, but hey, they're relatively cheap, so it's no great loss. As long as I have the spider and the 2 giants alive, I'm feeling pretty good about things, and they are still all 3 relatively healthy, so we're in a good spot. You can see the Moonhowlers charging in, getting a good charge on those skinks, just trying to take them out, and yeah, just kind of try and clean up a lot of these kind of weakened units. Well, my heavies push forward and try and get at Nakai. The Razordons are a big concern, though. If they can get into a firing position and start to open up on my monsters, this could turn around pretty quickly. I'm going to go ahead and throw down the debuff there. It does actually catch my Lord. I didn't actually quite see if it caught my Lord, but regardless, Goblin big bosses, I believe we're going to get one back from route there as well. In just a moment, try and throw down the debuffs on Nakai, but Nakai really feeling the heat right now from the Ragnarok Spider. The Spider Shrine doing a ton of damage. Also the Croc scores. You can see the Razordons, though, finally able to get it into position to open fire. And they will do some pretty effective damage there. Likewise, you know, Black Orcs will be a good target for them. Also, we're going to pop another Wah here. Just get all of the buffs all across the field. And yeah, so far I'm feeling pretty good. A Harmonic Convergence there on those Croc scores. He also uses the Leadership buff to keep them in the fight. They're actually going to do a lot of damage to my Spider Shrine right now. Which is not the best, but I mean, we've still got plenty of other supporting elements, you know, the light cavalry there in the low ground. You can keep chasing. I'm not doing a great job microing that right now, but I'm going to try and get Spider Shrine just up and away at this point. It's more important for me to just kind of keep him alive, but the one thing that's nice about the Spider Shrine, I will say, the leadership is not great. I think that's definitely the biggest weakness, only 55 leadership, but the fact it has so much HP means if you micro it correctly, you can definitely take a lot of damage with it, certainly more so than any other Greenskin Lord, I would say, which is definitely an advantage. But here in the late game, just trying to keep my Giants, you know, sticking together as much as possible. The Black Orcs also slowly pushing up and through, and then just using my mobile pressure to kind of get at the rest of these troops. The Razordons still able to kind of fire with impunity here, but they really don't have enough ammo to finish off all of the rest of my high-value targets by themselves, I think. So I'm still keeping my Lord out of range just in case, because I really don't want to lose the Spider. Run into leadership issues. We're in a pretty commanding position in terms of the balance of power at this point. The Giants just have been a lot to deal with, in addition to the Spider, right? So Nakai doing his best, and I don't know, I think Nakai might have gotten some buffs. I'm not 100% sure of all of the balance changes that are being included here. I know some of them have been implemented that I've seen, but I'm not 100% sure. Here Nakai, though, is I also use the ability from the Spider Shrine. I haven't really highlighted it, but it did just refresh his ability cooldown timer, I believe, there, with the Don't Even Try It. Or maybe I used that earlier. I can't really tell. One of you guys will probably let me know, I'm sure, in the comments, one of you eagle-eyed viewers out there. But regardless, yeah, Nakai comes in. The Gobbo Big Boss, again, he's around, and you can see that debuff pop off. And it's not currently active, but yeah, with that Big Boss in there, the debuff can pop off at least. And Nakai finally terror routes away there. Razordons throwing in what shots they can, you know, whipping their tails back and forth, but yeah, we're very quickly going to close in on army losses here. Spider Shrine just keeping a nice, respectable distance away from those Razordons as we kind of clean things up here. And yeah, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. One of the Giants, I believe, is about to go down, but once we clean up the Razordons and the Skink Priest as well, that brave little Skink Priest getting in there. He actually does manage to fell the Giant. Look at that. He actually, like, ankle bites the Giant and it falls over, but obviously it's not going to be enough. The Big Boss getting back, pressuring those Razordons causes them to rout, and that will be it. Nakai gives up the fight, so very well played. An excellent battle. Definitely a lot of fun. So, yeah, have a look at the post breakdown there. And yeah, in terms of the kind of the breakdown here, the Black Orcs mopping up a lot of kills, 128 kills on the Loons as well. As I mentioned in the last replay, the Fanatics are very micro-intensive, so I probably wouldn't take more than 2 personally, 3 if you're really brave. But even just 1, especially the 8-peak Loonies being unbreakable and just such a good unit overall, I do think they were already a staple in every Greenskins build, but even more so now, you can use those Fanatics to really, really nice effect. And yeah, the triple monster option definitely worked well against the Lizardmen. The leadership is the one thing that kind of concerns me about the Spider Shrine. I think I might hold it back in some certain matchups, but in general, I think it's going to be a strong option for any of the monster-focused matchups. You know, I'd imagine Warriors of Chaos, like Lizardmen, Vampire counts maybe, although the leadership issue could potentially be a problem there, depending on kind of how the build goes. And likewise, you probably have to go relatively narrow, and it's kind of a weird one because of ethereals and some other factors, but it could be good there potentially. Beastmen likely probably have a hard time dealing with it depending on the situation. Just in general, I think like I said, any of the monster-focused matchups, I think the Spider would probably be good in, so definitely a lot of fun. Big thanks to HDS for all of the games. That's going to do it for today's Gobbo Multicast, sort of live post-hybrid multicast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and hopefully the replay issue will be resolved soon. I know Creative Assembly is working hard, and they have said that it should be resolved as soon as possible, so hopefully we can get back to our regular style of videos. But big thanks to you all, and we'll see you next time.